Alright, today I like to talk about bats. Okay, the bat that when you throw and finish up, and how do you remove your piece from your wheel head. A lot of people throw directly on the wheel head, move it on the shop, but that way it's a little bit harder if you are not very experienced. Sometimes when you move it out, the part is disturbed by your finger touching on the surface. So to prevent that from happening, you want to throw your piece on the bat. Before I go through with my presentation, I like to do a little bit of advertisement. This coming Wednesday, March 15th, I will be at the NCCA National Clay Conference. It's happening in Cincinnati, Ohio, the convention center. And I will be there presenting my tools and my bat system and my bat and all the tools I bring in there. So if you want to have some hands-on, please visit my booth number 304. I will be at the exhibiting hall, booth number 304. Right here, and you can see I got lots of traditional that you can see on the market now. Many different materials of the bats. They are made of plastic, made of masonry, and also made of wood. Many of them. And most of them have some of their disadvantage. Oh, I forgot to mention there is also plastic bats. Okay. There are some advantage and disadvantage of them. And most common you can see is this kind of bat. It's made of masonry. This is the cheapest. I think it's the cheapest bat that you can find. Of course, you can cut your own and made it out of plywood. Anything made of with the wood, there's a disadvantage of this. Once it gets soaked in the water, your wood swell, and sometimes it warp. So that's the disadvantage. But advantage of it is very cheap. And also you will have you see this kind of a bat is made of plastic, and these are very good. But sometimes people cannot wait, and they tend to use the heat to heat it. And once this kind of plastic bag, you use the heat to heat it up, it start to warp. Okay, start to warp. You can see a lot of community center or community studio. They have this kind of a bag, and they have been warped awfully because people use the heat gun or hair dryer to dry them. Okay, so that is the common problem with all the traditional bags here. The wood here. Okay, I got lots of them here because I have my own private studio. So sometimes I keep it in very good shape. I kind of after I use them and I dry them vertically, so they still are okay to use, but not very good. Now let me show you my bat that I keep on finding a better material to throw on top of a wheel head. Because you already see me using this kind of a bat for maybe a year now. So this kind of a bat, and I will introduce it later. Well, I'm looking for a better material when I develop my aluminum bat system. So I have the aluminum bat insert, and also I want to find a cheaper alternative. This material is very strong, even it's made of plastic, it's very strong, and a little bit of heat is not going to make it warp or make it bend. Okay, so this material is the material I would use it for the regular throwing bat. This is made of fiberglass reinforced plastic. It's very strong plastic, and very good to throw with, and very rigid and very durable. Okay, this kind of a material. These are my prototype and different colors. This kind of a material is more expensive than the traditional or the masonry or plastic bat because it's very hard to make them. Even you engrave some line on there, you're going to wear out your tool very soon. It's very hard to produce and very heavy to ship too. So now let me formally introduce my bats. I call them translucent. They're translucent bat. Why I call it translucent? Because if you put it under the light, you can see the shadow. It's like translucent ceramics. So I call it translucent bat. And I also have this concentric circles here, and also the division. I put them up here. It's very handy when you are ready to do your decoration or even trim it. It's very easy to find your center on here. Later on, I will use this one to do the demonstration. So they come with 3 different sizes. This is 8.5, 12 inches, and the largest one is the 14 inches. So it's very regular sizes that you can see on the market. If you want it wider, bigger, you could custom order. Just let me know that you need something that is larger and wider. Okay, larger, 16, 18, or even 20. Just to warn you that this is very heavy duty plastic, so they are very expensive if you have it on a very large size. I put all of them with the decoration mark, so that is very handy. You don't need to throw on this side here. You can put it on the other side and throw here. And when you're ready to trim, just simply flip it over and trim it here. Okay, trim it here. Or if you want to do a division, I put 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Okay, so that is very common division that if you need them, they are very handy. Right, again, I will see you if you are visiting NCCA this year. My booth number is 304. And I'm going to use one of it to throw and to see how it goes. Put in on a gripper, or actually this is called absorber. Okay, you can absorb. I usually put it underneath to create a little bit friction. So if your hole is too big, your bat is not moving while you're centering. So that is very good material. So I'm going to use this one here, put it underneath. Actually use it the other side when you're not using that for making division. Also the gripper or the absorber is protecting your mark underneath. If you needed to make some circle to guide you where your center is, try to use a very hard tool like diamond file. You spin the wheel and use a diamond file, and you can make some circles here so to guide you where is your center. And when you are throwing on the back side, yeah, the surface is very smooth. It's like throwing on the silk. It's not going to hurt your hand like the very rough surface. And this bat, the smaller one, out of my 3 FRP bat, this one I also call it Space Saver. It's in square shape. It's saving your very precious shaft when you're drying your pieces on. Slightly push out for forming the bottom into a curved shape. Okay, normally I just use the metal rib, but the tool you just find it. Just see what I use it is. A lot of beginners, they tend to not very good at using the metal rib, the flexible metal rib. So that's why I try to develop this tool so that the beginner could use it for forming the curve easier. And this rib, you can see that it's not quite in there, but if you hold it sideways, actually this is fitting the curve. So I like to make it into a thicker rib. Is that it's like a 3D. So if you hold it in different angles, you have a multiple curve. Instead of the metal one, you want to have one curve you could use. And for this one, if you hold it like this, right, actually that the side is touching. This part here is touching. So the curve is fitting on the side here instead of this curve here. I'm trying to make a thin neck bottle, so I like to make sure the base is nice and smooth before I working on the top. Alright, use my Space Saver translucent bed to throw a thin neck bottle. And use my number 17, the wet trimmer, to remove the excessive clay out the corner. And if you throw something this tall and you don't want to trim, flip it over trim on the chuck, you can actually throw it a little bit thinner on the base. So after you wire it up, you don't need to trim. You don't have to trim. That way, save even some energy of trimming the base. So if you use a skirt, I call it skirt or corner trimmer, wet trimmer, you trim so the base looks nice when it's wet. So you wet trim it and leave a little curve on the foot. And this tool will go smoothly on my bed system, on my translucent bed. And remember, when you trim it, make sure after the clay come off, you need to pull. Okay, you need to pull, otherwise the clay is going to stick back onto the surface. With the corner trimmer, you also don't need to, if you don't want to, you can just leave it like that without trimming the full rim or trimming the bottom. Just wide it off. And of course, you can let it sit here while it's drying. You can put your back to the wheel and trim the neck here. So the whole piece is very steady without wiring it off. That is the advantage of having the bed, is that if your piece is sitting on the bed, you can put it right back and then trim. If you don't cut it off, your part is going to stick on there. So that is another solution for something that is very tall, for not trimming on the foot. Remove it is easy. You remove it. And if you need it, once it gets leather hard, put it back here. While that part is stick on your back, you can trim the neck right here. Alright, this is the 8.5 inches square bed, translucent bed, that it's gonna save a lot of room on your shop without too much of the here to take room on the shop space. That is my smallest one, and medium one is 12 inches, and the largest one is 14. If you need 16 inches, just contact me. 16 or larger, contact me and we can custom it for you too. I will bring some just for displaying the NCCA booth. I will have the bed available for you to check it, but if you want it, you could order from my website, okay, my shops. Hope to see you at NCCA this year, next Wednesday to Friday from 9 to 5. Thanks for watching and see you later.